Well, Mike just popped 5,000 miles in a year on this VR1. We made it. We got 5,000 mile ride. It's there's nobody left here in the parking lot but us. Sleds, thank goodness we just went through a big puddle. Took some of the mud off, but they somewhat made it to the end of the year. We're gonna do a nice review on these bad boys, on all the good, the bad, the ugly. But we did it.
All good.
For me, it's been a pretty good season. We had a slow start. Snow didn't come until much later. Canada was closed, so we couldn't get an early start. We only got in 4 rides this year, which is that's pretty despicable. Yeah. And one, it's like March, I don't even know, 7th, 8th, 9th, and this is going to be the last ride of the year. Rain's coming. Trails are pretty much booked. Not going to make it to Canada. I think the border's going to be closed. We had one hell of a year, and I can't wait to tell you all about what this little gem did to us. Nice. Hey guys, well we're back in Pittsburgh, and obviously there's no snow here either. We just came from Michigan. The end of the snow happened, and we wanted to give you an update video. Actually, a couple of you guys have asked along the way, you know, do we work for a living, or are we just spending all of our time riding snowmobiles? Actually, this weekend, Mike ended up having to go work, so I was stuck with doing some video editing. And without getting him to be part of the video, I had to do a semi, maybe creative, we'll see, approach to really giving our 5,000 mile update, which really then serves also to whether we would have bought these machines again or not in hindsight. So watch through the video. You have to excuse me, we're kind of lacking here at the household for actors as well as talent and stand-ins, so we did our best. And we also wanted to show a video of some of the riding that we do, so we wanted to incorporate that into one video that maybe would be slightly more entertaining. So please, no shade, only sunshine in this video. We thought we'd have a little bit of fun with it, or I'd have a little bit of fun with it. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks.
Case number 462, Snow People vs. VR1. Today we have the prosecutor Thor, the defense team, and the Honorable Judge Brady.
Today we here to review the case of the Snow People vs. the Polaris VR1. We have in the courtroom the prosecution. We also have in the courtroom the defense team bailiff. Please escort the defendant.
Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Ooh, Lord. Nobody knows but Jesus. Nobody knows. That's the sound of the man working on the chain gang. Oh, don't you know that's the sound of the man working on the chain gang. Thanks, bailiff. I think we could take it from here.
Your Honor, candidly, I'm not so certain that any of these extreme measures were necessary with the bailiff. I mean, candidly, the snow's all gone. There's impossible for me to escape, and this bailiff that you brought me out with, I mean, I'm a Polaris rider. I'm almost strong enough to take that little kid. Regardless, Your Honor, thank you today for having me and hearing my case.
In case of the Snow People versus the VR1, we are here to examine the evidence surrounding the very serious crimes the VR1 is accused of. The VR1 is facing 1 count of being a bad snowmobile to buy, 1 count of impersonating itself as a good snowmobile or the best snowmobile, multiple counts of reliability issues, 1 count of ruining a snowmobile trip, 1 count of being a bad girl. The prosecution may proceed with the case.
Your Honor, I'd like to begin by putting forth this evidence and doing a quick recap on every failure that we saw so far this year. As everyone recognizes from seeing the prior evidence, we were missing a bogey wheel at the very beginning. We had vibration in the handle on the pull starter. We had issues with the seat with one of these machines you're on. We had problems from the factory with the initial suspension setup. There was low chain case oil. I'm trying to get in there and smell it out right now, sir. Also, I can smell in there that this machine seems to be missing an exhaust spring. Yet another problem, Your Honor. Underneath here, I'm looking again to make sure those bogies are fine. At the end of the season, 5,000 miles, I can tell you, Your Honor, that we beat those bearings. It beat those bearings right out of that VR1. Coming around this machine, you guys will remember, we had to recalibrate the exhaust valves. We had fuel gauge issues. It was not telling us the right fuel. And up inside of here, the worst part of all, the place where that bearing failed on behind that secondary and caused a long, long day. Honor, I got some questions for the witness. Since the last time you updated the court with your 4,000 mile review, let the record reflect it was almost 4,000 miles. There were numerous problems you had reported. Please let the court know, were there any other issues in the past 1,150 miles? To be candid, really over the past ride, 1,151 miles to be exact, we only experienced one additional problem. I seem to have misplaced a few of my exhaust springs. I don't know if I misplaced them. As a matter of fact, I think now in reviewing the file, the evidence, it looks like those exhaust springs broke. Our thoughts were that perhaps it was because it was an aftermarket exhaust, but when we checked on Mike's sled, he was missing spring as well. Looked like it had broken off, so he was missing springs. I was missing springs. And to be candid, this is something that happened when I first had the VR1. I lost it springs in the first 1,000 miles, and candidly, I have no excuse for myself, nor do I have it for the VR1.
You've spoken enough. Let's allow the court to see with their very own eyes this heinous act of breakdown out on the track.
Oh no! Where's it at? Oh no! Where's my seal? Ah! We're gonna have to fix you, you piece of shit. Hopefully I can find that seal. Oh no. No, girl, no. Why, girl, why? I need my seal. Oh no. Oh, you're such a bad girl. Oh, you're such a bad girl.
Let the court note the defendant's own words. You're such a bad girl. And again, he repeated, you're such a bad girl. Bad girl indeed.
Well, yes, Your Honor. I first off would like to point out how beautiful some of these trails are in the UP. You can see that there's, really not much push, not much going on, not many bumps, and it's a straight shot. This looks like a rail bed, and Your Honor, candidly, I can't say that this Polaris VR1 may necessarily do better or worse than any other snowmobile. You see, Your Honor, when conditions are really good, I can't deny that it doesn't matter what snowmobile you have. You can have a modern sled, a 2021, you can have a 2001. As you can see, when suspension isn't really needed that much and the trails are very, very straight and very, very fast, ultimately, Your Honor, I can't say that the VR1 is necessarily needed. In fact, you could have a Sidewinder. A Sidewinder might be even a better choice for this, Your Honor, or any Skidoo that you would choose, or an Arctic Cat, and it could be an older sled. It could be a 2001. It could be a 1991 for that matter, and you can go down this trail and go very, very fast. So, yes, Your Honor, I have to admit that when trails present themselves like this, where they're well groomed, and they're fast, and they're flat, and they're straight, undoubtedly, the VR1 may not necessarily be needed, sir. And furthermore, Your Honor, just to appease the court, I'd also like to add that when trails are this good, one may not even need have an 850cc two-stroke. One could even have a 600 or a 650 or a 500, and you could have a four-stroke. You could have all kinds of machines on this. You don't even have to worry whether you have the most high-performance two-stroke out there. You can have any motor that you want.
How very convenient. How very convenient indeed, Your Honor. Of course, you're going to talk about the straight trails and any sled can handle it straight. This sounds like a Polaris VR1 advertisement. I would like to ask the defense. Your Honor, please submit next exhibit of this beautiful trail going through the UP. What a fine specimen and what a wonderful trail indeed. Let me ask you, Mr. Defendant, you mean to tell me that the VR1 is necessary to go down this fine trail of the UP?
Your Honor, with all due respect, sir, I would like to point out that first and foremost, I do not work for Polaris. I don't work for any company associated with snowmobiles, sir, and I'm not here to present an advertisement for Polaris. I would like the court to note that for the record. Second, Your Honor, I would like a moment to examine the exhibit. As you can see, the snowmobile is going along at a moderate amount of speed, and it looks like there's some nice sweeping turns, and the trail conditions look like they're fairly good, Your Honor. And I guess the question then is that would it matter if I was on a VR1 or a Polaris, or could I go just as fast, perhaps on another snowmobile, and maybe even faster on another snow machine? I guess, candidly, Your Honor, after looking at this video, I'm here to say that maybe another snowmobile would go just as fast, and it might be as enjoyable, maybe even more enjoyable, and maybe people could really get into this, and maybe I could even get into it if I didn't have this VR1 on this trail. Your Honor, I have to pause for a moment and really take notice of what a beautiful, lovely trail this is. It's well groomed, it's fast, it's flat, it has a couple of turns in it, and Your Honor, I think the trail riders, when they look at this trail, really this is what they think of when snowmobiling. And so I guess for the majority of riders, when we think of snowmobiling in great conditions and in beautiful trails, this is what we think of. And when we think of this, I guess it doesn't matter what snowmobile you have. As I mentioned before, you could have a Yamaha, you could have an Arctic Cat, you could have an older snowmobile, you could have a newer one. Any Skidoo would do good on this, and the same as any Polaris. So, Your Honor, I guess that unfortunately I have to answer as a defense that on a trail like this, any sled would do a wonderful job.
Oh, Your Honor, here we go. Any old sled will do. Any old sled indeed. Have you no pride for yourself, son? Have you no pride at all?
Sir, with all due respect, and I did say with all due respect, which means I could pretty much say whatever I want to after that statement. Clearly, I don't have any pride doing a voiceover to snowmobile videos.
Your Honor, I don't even know why we continue to waste our time. Clearly, the defendant said it doesn't matter on the flat trails which machine we have. And clearly, the defendant said it doesn't matter on these beautiful trails which machine we have. And as we've already laid out to the courtroom, there have been numerous breakdowns and issues with this machine. Quite frankly, Your Honor, I don't know why we're wasting the court's time. The prosecution shall rest.
Thank you, Mr. Prosecutor. The defense team may now continue with the witness.
I know this has been very stressful on you. Perhaps you can tell the court when you feel the VR1 is better than its competitors. As an example, tell us about when the trails get bumpy. Can we please cue up the next video in evidence for the court to see? And please try to be subjective in your answer.
Thank you, and yes, there certainly are times when I think that the VR1 shines, and as you can see here in this video, the trail, although it might be straight, sometimes it's not flat, and it can be rather bumpy. And this is an instance where I think the VR1 does very well. You can ride along and you can go through the bumps, and the machine stays very pointed, and the machine stays very flat. If you can look at my helmet in this video, you can see that my helmet is staying pretty flat and pretty well. And if you look down at the skis and you look down at the windscreen, it's bouncing around, and it would appear that the snowmobile is absorbing a lot of the bumps, and I feel that its ability to go over these bumps and to do it quickly with a lot of control and a lot of precision has to do with the chassis geometry, as well as being a lower weight machine in the front end. It has very good suspension, and has very good handling, and very good ergonomics, but all those add up in addition to how this machine can glide gracefully over the bumps relatively quickly, and more importantly, you can do it without getting exhausted through the day. You can actually move through the whoops, and at the end of the day, give it a green diamond instead of a blue diamond or a red diamond.
Thank you for walking us through that. It's great to see how the VR1 performs on big bumps. Can you now explain to the court how it performs on chatter bumps?
Well, in the chatter bumps, it's really nice. I mean, you hardly even notice the bumps at all, and it gives you the ability to be a much better and a much safer rider if you're very planted and you feel very confident in your machine, and it is still tracking the way that you want to track. It's actually relatively easy to go down a trail safely, using 80% or 75% of your energy, and the machine is not wearing you out or tiring you out. You don't even breathe hard going down the trail with this machine, and you can just go ahead and clip off miles. And where other riders are worried about the chatter bumps, you can just continue on down the trail as if they don't even exist with full control. It's actually one of the magic things that this sled does very well. It's not just in the whoops and the whoopy sections that can be complicated, but it's also in the chatter bump sections, as you can see here.
Thank you for walking us through chatter bumps. I know this has been very stressful and difficult. Can you now please explain to the court how the VR1 handles turns?
Well. In the twisties, when the trail's going back and forth, I think that this really is where this VR1 Polaris shines. It's to say it's effortless is maybe an understatement. To begin with, the steering up front is very, very light, and the reason it's light is that there's less weight over the front end, and by having less weight over the front end, you don't have to have as an aggressive as of a skeg to get you around the turn. So you have a lighter skeg, maybe even a 6-inch if you're matching it back to your studs on your track, and even a 4-inch at times. Sometimes a 6-inch is too much skeg, and you're waiting for it to wear down before you can actually start to get really good performance out of the machine. And so the steering is light in its feel. It's just enough feedback, and the machine, the VR1, in going around these turns is truly effortless. And when I say that we ride at 75% energy level, it means that we're only pushing at 75% as hard as we can push. We try to make sure that we're not breathing hard or breaking a sweat or going out literally beyond your skis or over your skis, as they say. And regardless, going at that energy level, you can very easily clip through these very, very tight and technical trails. So going back and forth, side by side, a left turn, a right turn, back and forth with this very, very light machine that's light on steering in the front end. As you can see, it doesn't have an understeer tone. It doesn't have an oversteer tone. It seems to be balanced just perfect. And you're not fighting this machine back and forth in the woods as you get into turns. I mean, a lot of guys in snowmobiling, as you come off the straights, you come off the rail beds or the straight tracks, and then you go into the twisties. Now, some guys with other sleds, they start to dread those areas and they hate them, and they start to really wish they could get back on the flat and the straight. And this machine here, it absolutely loves it, and it makes it a real joy and real ease. As a matter of fact, instead of dreading going into the twisties and all the turns, it becomes a really big joy to do. It provides a tremendous amount of satisfaction. It's another dimension of snowmobiling that becomes absolutely effortless because of the combination of this Polaris Matryx VR1 chassis.
Thank you for the explanation on turns. Can you now explain to the court how the VR1 handles high-speed sweeping turns?
In the long sweeping turns, the machine is truly a joy. I mean, you don't have to hang too far off it. You can if you would like. You can hang off the machine or just sit completely flat. But it really does kind of gobble up the small bumps that you always find in the middle of the sweeping turns or the inside apex of those turns. But it is very, very easy to move on as well through this higher speed sweeping turns. And of course, you can see my buddy up there is riding them, and I'm trying to keep up with them and pay attention to the trail at the same time. But as I mentioned, it's rather easy to do, and the machine kind of does everything for you.
The court would like to focus your attention on another exemplary UP trail. And take note, it does not look like you are riding hard at all.
Well, first off, yes, you are correct. It's another amazing, beautiful trail in the UP. I mean, this alone for the course should be an excellent advertisement for getting your snowmobile up out of places like Pennsylvania and up out of places that are south of Michigan and heading to the UP. And also, yes, I will confirm that we're really not working that hard to go down this trail. I mean, as I've mentioned before, this sled, well, I guess the best way to put it is this sled takes amateurs like us and makes us look like we can do a fairly good job at snowmobiling without breathing hard or working too hard.
We have now discussed bumps and chatter bumps. What happens when you combine that with turns?
Well, independently, as I've noted that
going over, bumps, it's a very good machine, and going over the chop, it's a very good machine. As a matter of fact, I would say that it's hard to find a machine that does those two items as good as this Polaris does, and the Polaris VR1 Matryx. But where the real magic is, and where this machine truly shines, is when you combine both of those elements, where you have a lot of turns, and you also have a lot of bumps. As I mentioned, in the turns, it's relatively effortless to steer. It tracks absolutely straight. You don't have oversteer, and you don't have understeer. It is a truly balanced machine, and it also keeps its composure exceptionally well when going through the bumps. So when you combine both of these elements for the turns and for the bumps, it really takes a trail that would otherwise be a bear to handle on a heavier machine, or on one that doesn't handle as well, or one that doesn't have as good a suspension. And it makes that trail, instead of being a bear or being something that you would want to avoid, it turns it into a true joy. And as a matter of fact, you can move your speed forward a little bit without getting yourself into trouble. And really, for a number of the items that we pick on Polaris about, for reliability and for where these machines have some issues, these machines are built for this type of trail. And when they are running well, when they're running good, it is truly hard to beat this machine for this type of trail situation. So if you find yourself mostly going through trails that aren't as well groomed, or not groomed as often, ones that have more bumps, ones that have more turns, and you find yourself from time to time dreading going onto those trails, the problem may not be the trail, the problem may be the machine you're riding through that trail, because this machine, with all of its flaws and a number of the issues that we faced through the year, when you get to these types of trails, it is the easiest thing, and it brings a big smile to your face. And as I've mentioned a couple different times in this video, you do it without even breathing hard. You can go and clip off hundreds of miles a day, as you've been able to accomplish with these sleds, without breaking a sweat, not even getting sweaty inside of your suit, not even breathing hard, not even pushing as hard as you can effort-wise, because the machine is that easy to get in and around through these conditions.
I know you have lived the life of ridicule, being a Polaris rider. It's okay. You're with friends here. The Polaris has been picked on for being underweight, a lightweight, like an anorexic meth addict, you might say. The question remains, can this VR1 keep it together and keep it composed on the trail?
Well, with it being so light, I don't think that it detracts away at all from its stability. It's actually rather easy to keep moving forward quickly and straight, and keeps its composure. It's not a problem whatsoever. And you can, what's really remarkable about this is that you can keep your wits about you even going at a relatively high speed, because you don't have to push as hard maybe as you would with a machine with a lower displacement in terms of size, or in terms of one that you're pushing really hard to get out, to make sure you keep up with your buddies. As I mentioned, you're not riding at full energy level. You're able to keep going along the trail very quickly. And as you can see here, I can glance down quickly at this big screen and see where my buddy is, where my riding partners are. We're all on the same track. I can also see the map. I can figure out where I'm going to, where I came from, and ultimately give a very quick glance without taking my eyes off the trail for too long. It stays very composed, and it does a very good job of getting up to speed and holding on to that speed without pushing too much or asking too much out of the motor. Your Honor, if you'll allow me to also mention a couple of things. You may have seen here in the videos, I always have my finger on the brake. It's a good idea for all the riders out there. The brakes on this machine are second to none. There's no other snowmobile out there that can match the brakes of this new VR1 and the heated grips. There's been a lot that's been said about it, but it's true. I mean, you set it and forget it. You put your temperature on that you like, and it works exceptionally well. There are a number of things about this machine that I have to tell you that I truly like, Your Honor.
Objection! This witness has clearly just interjected whenever he feels free to speak about whatever he feels that we want to hear about. We need to get back to the facts, Your Honor. Please, your witness.
Can you now please tell the court a bit more about the 7S map? Would you also say that the map gives you the ability to be a better rider on the trail? And does it allow you to be a good steward of snowmobile?
Number of benefits, obviously, to the 7S display. You can, track your buddy. You can watch your buddy as you're going down the road. You can see the maps coming up. You can see your turns coming up. Obviously, we have this zoomed out. What's really neat about it as well is you can, see the trails you've been on. The ones that are in blue are the ones that you've been on before, and that's either in prior trips or in prior days. And then the red is what you actually, did that particular day. This was after it was like the second to the last day that we had. You can see our red trip, going from Sault Ste. Marie over, stopped in Christmas, did a little reload, got some oil and such, and a change of clothes, and then made our way on to Houghton Hancock. The other thing that we never predicted about this is that you actually get a chance to meet a lot of friends out on the trail and show them which way to go. Ultimately, you stop, whether they're lost or want to know about conditions, you get a chance to go ahead and show them your map, and then show them, precisely where to go to or where you're talking about. It's kind of a neat experience.
I got you, go ahead. You come from Copper Harbor? Yeah, he can't hear anything. He's completely deaf and he's a faggot.
What's up, brother?
Oh.
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Is it, you know what? Is it like this all the way up there? No, it gets better about 7 miles up and then it's pretty clean going on. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, you'll be fine. Good. Just ask him. One too many hand jobs will make you go deaf. What? What? You by yourself? 3 guys are slow. Once you get 7 or 8 miles up, it gets clean. Okay, there's no surprise in the trail. There is some chop, but the trails beyond Copper Harbor and the loop up around are gorgeous. I mean, they're probably the best right now in the UP. So. Beyond Copper Harbor all the way to the lake, right? Yeah, but don't. There's a turnoff that goes to the lake. Like the last 2 miles, don't even take that. Just loop back around. It's like 134 or 135. Take the big loop there. Yeah. It's the best.
The map here. If you take that Eagle Harbor loop is nice, and then the Copper Harbor loop's nice too. Oh, good. Right through here is kind of, I mean, it's just shit. Yeah, it's pretty whooped. Once you get through it, it's good. Where are we going? Yeah. Probably eventually Marquette. We got a small day, about 300 mile day. Maybe 350. Cow. We rode Marquette to Big Bay yesterday. Oh man, that's a rough trail. It's fun as heck, but you're like this the whole time. Yeah, we call that trail dark and twisty. We love it. Well, be safe, have fun. Nice to visit with you. Hey, wait a second. I got you something. Yeah. You seem like a good enough guy. We'll give you a couple stickers. Oh, cool. Put one on your sled and put one in some magical place. Maybe we'll find it someday. Well, that's awesome, man.
Despite all of this, you made it to 5,000 miles. The defense rests.
5,001.5. Let's take a quick look at the map. Let's zoom out here. Oh, it's been a great year in the UP for sure. Short one, but all good. Whew, yeah, not bad.
Mr. Snow Effort, or whatever it is that you call yourself, is there anything you would like to say to the court in advance of ruling and sentencing?
Thank you, Your Honor. And looking back on the entire season, I guess there is a bit that I could say. I guess we'll start with the maintenance issues, and they're a little bit frustrating at first, but let's walk through them one by one. The bogey wheel that we were missing to begin with may have had something to do with COVID. Maybe COVID, in that, at that point in time, I mean, think of it, Your Honor, there are a number of machines, we're trying to produce them, there weren't many people working in the factory, and even then, the parts that were coming to the factory for assembly, I mean, who knows the state of the person that was assembling it, and so perhaps we'll write that one off to COVID. There were some preparation issues that maybe could have been addressed better. I mean, we've noticed that a couple of people have written in to the YouTube channel saying that they were a little bit low on chain case oil to begin with, and I think we noticed the same thing. We just looked past it as a small issue, and during our first oil change we changed it, and we haven't seen that issue since. It's not that there was a leak, maybe it was just a little bit low on oil to begin with. We do still have some unresolved issues. Mike's seat still hasn't been fixed, and we still have the fuel gauge issue. And the other problem that we had with setup, candidly, was that oh no, Your Honor, the prosecutor.
Whoa, Your Honor. Don't be looking away now. I think that witness is about to be tampering with that evidence. Don't have a look now. There it goes.
Your Honor, I was not attempting to fix my suspension. You see, Your Honor, a number of the shocks came late to the machines, and ultimately they weren't set up, or they weren't set up properly, and I may have neglected to go ahead and set that suspension up. It's something I will take care of as soon as the court will allow me out of these restraints. The other thing that we noticed very early on, Your Honor, was the buzzing coming out of the pull starter. And some may argue that on other machines, like a Yamaha or a Skidoo, you don't have that buzzing, but candidly, those machines may not even have a pull starter backup. This is an electric start with the pull starter backup, so we were able to fix it. In one of our prior videos, we showed everybody how to put a piece of foam in there, and that has since fixed the issue. With regards to the exhaust springs, I think we have a perfect solution, Your Honor. I'm putting 2 exhaust springs now on the top and 2 on the bottom, where it mates up between the muffler and the expansion chamber, and this has seemed to stop the problem. It's now holding and hasn't broken since. Also, Your Honor, with regards to the bogey bearings, we did go through the bogey bearings. I went through 6 bogey bearings. Here we are at 5,000 miles, but that's going to happen with any machine. That's perhaps just a maintenance issue along the way. I mean, bearings need to get greased, and with regards to the bogey bearings, I had 5 that I replaced and 1 that was able to be re-greased, and at 5,000 miles, that's not too bad. That's just in preparation for next year's season. Finally, I'll mention that I have my list here, Your Honor. The one thing that was probably the worst of all was the bearing that went out behind the secondary clutch. And as long as riders will catch this ahead of time, they can put grease there. Yes, I agree that Polaris should have done this to begin with, but they didn't. And as a result, there are a number of bearings that are blowing out, and Polaris is covering those, which is the one thing that I will say maybe that is the saving grace for Polaris, is that as we've had these issues, as we've reported them, Polaris has answered back, and they've helped us out. Our experienced technician that we have here in our local shop, Justin, he's the lead technician there. He's been able to help us. He's been able to support us along the way. If I have a question, I'm able to call him. He's able to help me out. He's helped us on and off the trail. And with regards to our breakdown that happened this year, that happened at the end of Ride 3, the end of my Ride 3 early for this machine, I had to use a backup machine. At least by the time we got to Ride 4, the Polaris dealer was able to get our machine back in order. So even though there were failures with the machine, Polaris was there to support us and to fix things up. So all in all, a lot of the items were irritating, maybe cosmetic in nature, to some degree, yes. Superficial, there were problems nonetheless. The only other problem, Your Honor, that I would like to mention is a recalibration of the exhaust valves, which we were able to do after cleaning the exhaust valves, and it worked out wonderful for us. So in looking at things, yes, there was a little bit of a lack of attention to detail by Polaris, and some of these things do need improvement. But overall, Your Honor, I actually need to address the court and sincerely say this. Even with all the issues that we have with this machine, even with all the problems that we have, a lot of them were easy to fix, a lot of them were just annoying along the way. And we did have that one major issue with the bearing. All in all, at the end of the day, I still would have purchased this machine this past year. And there's a number of good reasons why. There's a number of comfort reasons why I like this machine. And we're putting on 5,000 miles a year. It's not that we're not going to have issues. We did have issues. And what's important is how does that dealer respond and how does Polaris respond? And I'm here to tell you that from all the things that we've experienced, they responded appropriately. So undoubtedly, 2022, I would consider buying another one of these. Your Honor, I'm going to sleep on it. Obviously, I have a lot of time to myself to think through which machine I'm going to buy for next year. But for this past year, undoubtedly, we would do this all over again because although there was some pain, the joy that we experienced with this machine far outweighed the pain that we saw. Thank you, Your Honor. Please be lenient in your sentencing.
Reviewing all of the evidence, the court is ready to rule. Regarding the count of being a bad snowmobile to buy, the court rules not guilty. Regarding the count of impersonating itself as a good snowmobile or the best snowmobile, the court finds that not enough of evidence. Regarding multiple counts of readability issues, the court finds the VR1 guilty. Regarding the count of ruining a snowmobile trip, the court finds the VR1 guilty. Regarding the count of being a bad girl, the court also finds the VR1 guilty. Very, very guilty, according to me. The court is ready to move forward with the punishments of these terrible crimes. In light of defendant's testimony that Polaris repaired the machine quickly saved the last snowmobile trip, the court will be kind with its sentencing. You're lucky now the snow angel, Justin, has kept you from prison today by saving the last trip. You need to be thankful. The court will sentence the VR1 to probation without snow for 9 months. This shall give you time to clean up your reliability problems and to stop being a bad girl. I hope not to see you again in this courtroom, but somehow doubt you can avoid it. This court session is over for today. We will be watching your Mr. VR1.
Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty. We're free at last. Come on, VR1. Let's go think about what we've done over the next 9 months and get ready for next season.
Guys, really just wanted to say thank you. I hope everybody out there had a great season. We had a good season. We appreciate each of you watching, all your feedback, those of you that had challenged us. And ultimately, it doesn't matter what you ride, whether it's a Polaris, it doesn't matter, Skidoo, Arctic Cat. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're all part of a brotherhood. And I hope for each of you guys gained something from these videos. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching them. I hope that you even got a little bit of comic relief and didn't get too offended by this particular video. At the end of the day, get out there, ride that sled, have fun, get with your family, get with your friends, enjoy every little bit of it. We're there along the way. We're there to help. Everyone's there to help us. And I'll say this, and I love this picture coming up. Ride until the snow goes away, until the snow is no more. And this picture here really kind of reflects, I'm sure, how each of us feel. Get to the very end of the snow and sometimes go a little bit further. Thanks, guys, for watching. Thanks for everything. We're going to end with these kind of parting videos and notes.
Well, we did it, girls. Safe. Got the sun in the background. Sorry about that. 5,000 miles. Mike just popped it on his sled. Safe year. All was well. A couple of bruises here.
The bruise is like a peach.
I do. I'm sorry. My bruise is really easy. It's terrible. But we're done. We're safe. We're coming home. And Unless they open the Canadian border, we're done for the year. Oh, was that for me?
Quit your goofing off.